Recap of the three games that happened in the NBA yesterday, and let's start off with the Pistons winning 106 to 92 against the Brooklyn Nets. And after a pretty quiet first half for the Pistons, where they were down four heading into the half, they had a sensational second half, specifically on the defensive side of the ball. Brooklyn went up by 9 about a few minutes into the second half, and once that happened, Detroit ended that third quarter off fantastically. They went on a huge run. They were completely clamping the Nets offense down. They hold Brooklyn to a combined 35 points in the second half, turning this from a 9-point Nets lead to a double-digit lead for the Pistons, and it led to them winning this game pretty easily down the stretch. Didn't have the best game on the offensive side of the ball, but that did not matter with how good their defense was in the second half. I mean, holding Brooklyn to 5 of 17 shooting in that fourth quarter was massive. It kept Detroit in front the entire way because of that. They never really had to worry about Brooklyn getting back in the game just because of how much they were pestering them on the defensive side of the ball. They were led in scoring by Cade Cunningham. He has 19.6 rebounds, 5 assists, hits 8 of his 13 shots, but he did have 7 turnovers, and the turnovers have been something that's been a cause of concern for Cade Cunningham to start this year. He's been playing some really good basketball, but that has been his one issue so far. He's near the top of the league in turnovers per game right now. A guy who actually hasn't been playing well so far this year has been Jalen Duren, but he was terrific last night. 13 points, 17 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 blocks, a perfect 5 of 5 from the field. He was tremendous last night. All around great game for him. Tobias Harris, he added 18, 5, and 6 of his own. He also shot 8 of 13 like Cunningham, an efficient game for him. Malik Beasley, he had 18, wasn't his most efficient game, going 6 of 15 from the field, but he did make 4 threes. Tim Hardaway Jr. was in double figures. He had 14 on 5 of 9 shooting. So even though Jaden Ivey and Simone Foncheco did not have the best games, Detroit was able to use their fantastic defensive performance to get the win. It was a tale of two halves for them. The first half was pretty solid. In fact, they had a 4-point lead heading into halftime, but with how poorly they played on the offensive side of the ball in the second half, they just never really had a chance to win in this one, especially down the stretch with how poorly they shot, going 5 of 17 in the final frame, like I said before. And Brooklyn as a team also went 61% from the line in this game, which is just flat out unacceptable. You can't miss 12 free throws, and that's very frustrating because those are points left on the table. Cam Johnson, he led Brooklyn in scoring. He had 26 points, but 22 of those 26 were in the first half. He was terrific early on, but like the rest of the team, he really fizzled down the stretch in this one. Cam Thomas, he was the only other net in double figures. Yes, just 2 nets in double figures in this one. He goes 6 of 17 from the field, 17 points, 2 assists. The rest of the net, Jalen Wilson has a solid game, 8 points on 50% shooting. Ben Simmons was okay, 4, 6, and 6. Jordy Fernandez said he wanted him to be more aggressive after the game, and I agree with him, especially in a game like this where no other net is really, doing anything. Just be more aggressive, Ben. Try and do something. You can't be doing any worse than what the Nets were shooting outside of you. I mean, Dennis Schroeder, he also had a quiet game with just 7 points. He started off this season really strong. He's been a little quiet these last few games. Shot just 3 of 7 from the field. Didn't take that many shots. Finney Smith added 9 points. Nick Claxton had 8 points. No real spectacular performance for the Nets. Everybody just, completely fizzled out in the second half, and despite Cam Johnson's early heroics, nobody really stepped up outside of him, especially late, which led to Brooklyn losing this one by double figures. Teams play again tonight with Detroit taking on the Lakers and the Nets taking on the Grizzlies. Next up, the Hawks were able to end their 4-game skid with a 126-111 win over the New Orleans Pelicans. For most of this game, it was all Atlanta. The Hawks had the lead for the majority of this game. The only time I really remember they didn't was where the Pelicans went on a 17-4 run in the second quarter. They took a 7-point lead. They actually took that lead into the half, but in the second half, Atlanta really did a great job, especially on the offensive side of the ball. They scored 33 plus points in each of the two quarters. The Hawks went on a 14-4 run midway through the third quarter, but New Orleans kept it semi-close until the Hawks went on a 26-6 run midway through the fourth quarter. They went up by as much as 25 at one point, completely turning this game from a close one to what was a blowout. New Orleans made it a little fake close by making it a 15-point game at the end, but all around it was a really strong second half and a great win for the Hawks. Offense was great all game, but especially in the second half. In both the third and fourth quarters, Atlanta shot 60+% from the field. In the second half, Atlanta goes 29 of 42 from the field as a team, an all-around dominant half on the offensive side of the ball, and Atlanta had some great performances all around. They were led in scoring by Jalen Johnson, who has been much better this last week than his first week to start the season. He has 29 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists, 4 stocks. He goes 12 of 20 from the field. Great game for him. Trae Young, he's got 23 and 12 on the night, 8 of 15 shooting. He made 5 of his 10 shots from long distance. Dyson Daniels, he returned from his hip injury, had 16 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists in 24 minutes against his former team, going 7 of 10 from the field. Larry Nance, he had 14 and 6 on 6 of 8 shooting against his former team as well. They both have pretty strong revenge games. Zachary Risachet, he is in double figures. He gets 11 and 5, shoots just 4 of 13 from the field. He's still trying to get that shot down, but he has 3 steals and was really strong on the defensive side of the ball, which kind of has been the story for him so far this season. Garrison Matthews, he was in double figures with 11, made 3 of his 7 shots. He had a little bit of a dirty play at one point during the game, but hey, he had a solid game all around. Clint Capella, he had 8 points, 4 rebounds. David Roddy had 8 points. All around, just a great game for the Hawks. They had a bunch of offense. They really needed a game like this too, especially with their 4-game losing streak. They bounced back really well, and it had to feel good for guys like Dyson Daniels and Larry Nance Jr. to get a win against their former team. And it was just a poor defensive game for a very short-handed Pelicans team. They had no CJ McCollum, no DeJounte Murray, of course, no Herb Jones, no Trey Murphy, no Zion Williamson. That right there is 5 rotation players that are not playing, and the Pelicans have been one of the most unlucky teams with injuries to start this season. Only Brandon Ingram was really, great tonight. He had 32.7 rebounds, shot 12 and 19 from the field, 4 of 8 from 3. He's been off to a really good start to this season on the offensive side of the ball, but outside of him, only 3 other Pelicans were in double figures. Brandon Boston Jr., he had 14 points, 5 rebounds, shot 4 of 10 from the field. Solid night for him. Jordan Hawkins had 19, but wasn't his best slashing game. He just goes 4 of 10 from 2, but does go 3 of 8 from 3. Jamal Cain, he did play well, 14 points in 17 minutes. He shoots 4 of 7 from the field, 3 of 5 from 3, but outside of that, quiet offensive game for Jose Alvarado, 9.7 assists, goes a weak 3 of 12 from the field. Jeremiah Robinson-Earl, 6.7 rebounds. He goes just 2 of 8. Yves Missi looked good on the defensive side of the ball at points, but still just 4.6 rebounds, shots 2 of 6 from the field. All around, just not a good game for the Pelicans defense, and with how short-handed they are, that's completely understandable. This is a really tough stretch of the season for them just because they're going to be without so many of their guys, and it really is unfortunate because I would have loved to see what this team could do at full strength. Games will play again tonight and be home, with the Hawks taking on the Celtics and the Pelicans taking on the Blazers. To end off the day, we had the Mavericks getting a blowout 108-85 win against the Orlando Magic, and In the first 4.5 minutes, an Orlando team missing Paolo Banchero actually jumped out to a quick start. They went up by as much as 7 points, but then Dallas completely took over this game for about a 16-minute stretch. They go on a 52-16 run from 7:09 left in the first quarter to 2:30 left in the second quarter. Shout out Real for that stat, but that's just so insane to think about. Dallas was doing a great job getting buckets on the offensive side of the ball. They were getting open looks. Luka was on fire early on, and they were completely stuffing Orlando's offense. The Magic had a really rough game on the offensive side of the ball. They never had a quarter where they scored more than 25 points in this one, so even though Dallas themselves had a pretty weak second half on the offensive side of the ball, scoring just 43 points, the damage was already done, and it turned into a blowout win for the Mavs. They were led by Luka Doncic, and he was sensational in the first half. He scored 25 of his 32 points in the first half. Luka finishes the night with 32 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists, 11 of 22 from the field. He makes 5 of his 13 threes as well. And outside of that, wasn't the best game for Dallas's offense, especially in the second half, but Kyrie still had 17 points on 5 of 11 shooting. Daniel Gafford had a really strong game, 18 and 8 on 9 of 13 shooting. Derek Lively had a double-double and played really well. He shot 5 of 7. Klay Thompson, 9 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 4 of 10 from the field. His threes haven't been hitting as much these last few games, but he's still been playing some pretty good basketball. PJ Washington had a few buckets here and there, and then garbage time, some guys put some points up, but really where Dallas won this game was the defensive side of the ball. We flipped this over to Orlando. They shot a putrid 33.3% from the field as a team. They scored 85 points on 93 shot attempts. Just without Paolo Banchero, they looked completely lost on the offensive side of the ball. They went 8 of 41 from 3 as well. Were not able to really hit anything at all. The leading scorer for Orlando had 13 points. It was Franz Wagner with 13, 6, and 6 on 6 of 15 shooting. Was not his best game. Jalen Suggs, he also had a quiet game, 10, 4, and 2, shoots just 4 of 13 from the field after his great game against the Cavaliers a few days ago. TDS, Tristan da Silva, he had 7 points and 5 rebounds, played 31 minutes, may have shot just 2 of 7, but it was nice to see the Rook get some really strong playing time, especially after his solid game a few days ago. Mo Wagner, he was in double figures, 10 and 6, but he shot just 3 of 10 from the field. Jet Howard, he also had 12 points, but shot just 4 of 12 from the field. Overall, just a really inefficient and sloppy game from Orlando's offense, and it killed them, and they were completely out of it, about midway through the second quarter, and they never even had a chance of getting back in the game because of how poorly they played on the offensive end. Teams will play again tonight, with Dallas taking on the Pacers and Orlando heading on the road to take on the undefeated Oklahoma City Thunder. A quick recap of the 3 games that happened yesterday. If you guys watched the end of this, thank you. I really appreciate it. Tonight's the fun night. 15 games. All 30 teams in the association are going to be playing tonight. The NBA is staggering the start times. Every 15 minutes, there's going to be a new start time. It's going to be a great night of basketball. I cannot wait. I will be back tomorrow recapping all 15 of those games. I'm going to be like that meme where Jimmy Butler is hanging over the guardrail after the finals game. That's going to be me after recording tomorrow. I will be there. I will have a recap. It will probably be about like an hour long. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. God bless, and I will see you tomorrow.